our time is our most valuable asset, right? Having enough time to get things done, having enough time to spend with our family, to do things that are personal, those things are extremely important. And as we get more busier, most people tend to put themselves last and take on other things in their life and jam it in and just continue to pile those things on. And so we need to become effective in our schedule planning, right? There's leaders in major businesses that actually track their time down to like the 15-minute segment, right? Meetings can only be 15 minutes, or one task can only be 15 minutes. And there's two advantages to that. One, it allows us to become more efficient. And then two, it forces us to set deadlines to get things done. Me, I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. I tend to overdo things. I tend to focus too much time on getting things just right. And in reality, I can probably loosen up a little bit and get things done enough to be able to move on to the next task. And so I know that about myself. So if I don't set a deadline or a time limit to how much time I can put into something, I will overdo it. But there's also a law, and I don't know the name of the law, but if we give ourselves an hour to do a specific thing, if we give ourselves an hour to clean our house, the likelihood that we're going to clean the house in an hour is rather high compared to if we just give ourselves an unlimited amount of time. We're going to find more things to do. We're going to find more perfection to perfect. We're going to find us going from an hour to do this to 4 hours or a day. And then we're going to be upset with ourselves that we spent 8 hours doing something, cleaning the kitchen versus just the hour that it should have took. So we need to be really disciplined on building our schedule to be just that, very disciplined. And so I suggest doing something what they call block scheduling. Now, block scheduling is essentially creating blocks of time in your schedule to do specific things. And so we might do like 2 hour blocks to start off, right? And so, especially when we're wearing multiple hats in our business, let's say I set up Mondays for a specific segment of my business, and Tuesdays for a different segment of my business, and Wednesdays for a certain segment of my business, and Thursdays for a different segment of my business. And I say, okay, as a business owner, I want to have Fridays off. That's going to be my day to spend with my family and go do something fun. Well, we can then refine that to, okay, my day is this kind of segment. It might be marketing on Mondays and sales on Tuesdays and operations on Wednesdays, whatever it is. Well, then we can take our days and then split that up. We can say, okay, I want to work an 8 or a 10-hour day. So I do 2 hour blocks where my first part of my day, maybe in marketing, would be reflection on what my marketing efforts were for next or last week. And then the next 2 hour block is going to be, okay, what does next week's marketing efforts looks like? And then the next block is going to be, let me review what I'm spending in my different marketing avenues, right? It's just segmenting it in different sections so we can become more efficient and become more disciplined in our time. As we become more disciplined, we can start to tighten those time blocks down into smaller segments so that way we're focusing on very kind of fine tuning of things. And then we're also trying to, how do I turn an 8 hour day into maybe a 4 hour day? Can I squeeze things and give myself more of a deadline to be able to get more efficiency out of myself or out of my team, out of the things that I need to do? Do I need to bring in tools or processes or programs that can allow me to be more efficient? Right? Like filming videos is exactly the time it takes to film videos, but then it needs to be edited. Okay, well, is there an AI or a program that I can involve that can make editing the video a lot faster, right? It's just an example. But we need to become very organized, very disciplined about our time. And what we're going to see is that we start to actually gain more time by being more disciplined because we're going to get things done a lot faster. So I suggest incorporating block scheduling. If we're just in the planning stage of our business, having an hour or two in the morning before we go to our day job, saying, okay, from 4 to 6 or 6 to 8, I'm going to work on my personal business. From 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. is going to be family time, right? From 12 to 1 is going to be a lunch and a walk every single day, and having that discipline to execute that. The most successful people I've ever met in my life are the most disciplined about their time, and they value their time so much that they're not willing to trade off other things for that time. right? If I value my family time more than anything in this world, which we should, I am not willing to put a meeting in that 6 to 8 block. It forces us to say, okay, well, if that time doesn't work, it needs to be the next day. And it needs to be between 10 and 12, not 6 to 8, right? Where we value our time is where we're going to spend our time, but it's going to set our schedule. It's going to set other people valuing our time, right? If I have an employee that knows, do not bother me from 6 to 8. When it's 8:01 or it's 5:59, you can call me. But from 6 to 8, you're not going to get a response. And if it's an emergency, call 911 because I'm not paying attention, right? That's how critical and how disciplined we need to be with our time.